Where's Dave? Dave's right up front. Let's hear it for Dave Fowler. He's the founder and CEO of Chartio.
Hey guys. Yeah, I'm Dave from Chartio, and basically we are an analytical interface to your database and other data sources we connect to also. Most relational databases and Salesforce and Google Analytics, and we're adding more all the time. So this is our homepage. And to talk about Chartio, we actually have recently created this fun project called Bodio.com. And Bodio is basically Airbnb for boats. It's our fake company that we use, and that's what I'm going to be going over in our demo. So everyone pretend that you have a startup, and it's really awesome, Airbnb for boats called Bodio.com. So if you worked at Bodio, you could make a dashboard like this using Chartio. This is just an example dashboard of what you have. And so I'm going to show you how you add a chart once you're already connected to your database. So we've basically already connected to a database. We can come down here and see there are two data sources connected here on the left. We've got Bodio, the MySQL instance, and then we've got the Google Analytics account as well. But we're just going to look at the MySQL instance. So when we connect to your data source, we pull out the schema. So here we have pulled out the three tables. Bodio has a very simple schema, which is there's boats, trips, and users. And so we can kind of simply drag over an ID to get a count, and then the date. And what happens under the hood, I'll just show you that first, is Chartio actually makes a query here based on what you just dragged over. And we're connected up to the data source. You can either connect it to your production database with a read-only user, or we encourage you to do a slave or backup database of your own. But this is connected to your data source, and you can actually come in tier 2, and if you want, kind of update the queries and write whatever query you want and not have to use the interface. If you do prefer SQL, or you have a really advanced query that does need a lot of sub-selects or something like that. So we write this query based on our interface. We run that query, and we pull it back, and by default, we show it to you in a table. And then you can also choose, I want it in a scatter or a line chart or an area chart or a bar chart. And then you can keep adding and modifying your query. Let's look at boats by also date and by type. And so it's going to run this query again. And unfortunately, banana boats here aren't as popular as I wish they would be on Bodio. But you can see sailboats are kind of the most popular, and the different rentals of these, or actually this is the additions of those boats over time. Then we can just add a title, new boats by type. Then we'll save this to our main Bodio dashboard. And you can just rearrange this, resize it however you'd like. You can also rearrange the ones in the background. We'll just put this down at the bottom here for now, and resize a little bit. Then we'll turn arrange mode off. Okay. So great. And then now we've added this chart to our dashboard, and you can continue adding them. And we've got a list here of all the other dashboards. We've got a Bodio support and a web traffic dashboards as well set up. So that's how you just create your dashboards. Just in like 30 seconds, we created a chart. It takes you just a few minutes or however long you want to continually add more to these dashboards and build your dashboard out. And the nice thing is that the friction is lowered greatly. The friction in adding new charts, or when you have a question, like where are people getting stuck? Where are people having the most fun? Where are people most engaged? You can very quickly with our interface just dig in and have this analytical interface to your database to answer those questions. We also have here these global sliders. So most of these charts are actually connected to the global slider, and you can see as we drag around. this global slider, it actually rewrites that query in whatever SQL syntax, whether it's MySQL or whether you have a Postgres data source or whether you're Salesforce data or Google Analytics data. You don't have to learn these different systems. You just have to connect them through Chartio with one single interface, and we rewrite all those queries and run those for this different time range. We also have automatic drill downs, so we can look here and see sailboats are the most popular boat type that's rented. So we can click on that and actually see how that performs over time. And then this is I think automatically grouped by week here, and we can drill in and now see it by day. We can also choose to pivot and say, instead of by day, what else? We can do it by boat name. There's going to be a bunch of them. And yeah, see the Suzanne was rented a couple times. Yeah, we can go all the way down, and we can actually, in the end, look at the source data and see the actual 20 sales that actually happened on that day in this boat type in this category. So, furthering, we can go into our settings and look at Boatio and check out the schema. So, like I said, when we connect to your database, we actually pull in the schema and show you we pull it all into Chartio and give you nice for the nice interface, and you can actually come in and edit some of these because usually your raw schema is actually pretty complicated. So you can come in and change the names and just clean it up a lot. We can also specify foreign keys. Chartio automatically pulls out foreign keys for almost every data source type, but sometimes you don't have them defined, so you can come in here and actually add them, and it does the joins automatically when you have the foreign keys specified. And lastly, you can just pull in and view this schema diagram to kind of see the schema of your database. This one, for our example database, is actually pretty simple, but it's kind of nice while you're learning your data source, to be able to do that. And you can add more dashboards, you can add more teammates to collaborate on. So we're really looking to be kind of this analytical interface to your database so that most people kind of end up building their own or buying really expensive, large enterprise solutions. And we're trying to disrupt that market and make it possible for small and medium businesses to just have a dashboarding solution and not have to code it all themselves. So, great.
Great. Thank you, Dave. So, Dave ate into his Q&A time a little bit. We have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Who's got a question for Dave Fowler? Yes, sir.
Do you have any plan to add natural language interfaces, like natural language queries?
Could you repeat that one?
Do you have any plan to add natural language interfaces like queries? Queries.
Natural language. No, we have no plan for the natural language queries at the moment. That's definitely something we'd look into, but our initial focus has been on SQL queries and relational databases. We're starting to look into NoSQL queries, and we're also really focusing on these third-party services, so you can pull in things like, we already have your Google Analytics and your Salesforce, and we'd also like to be pulling in, just all these other services that people are connected to, the most popular services on the web. Eventually we'll get there, but right now our focus is mostly on the relational databases.
Hi. Are there any plans to have a RESTful API implementation where I don't necessarily need to connect directly to a database?
For sending data to us or for reading data from us?
For reading data. Or actually both, really.
For both, sure. Good question. So we actually, a lot of our competitors and some people in this space, people are kind of used to it having an API to interface to and sending your data to some API. We don't like to do things that way because you have a lot less flexibility on what data you have access to and what data you can really work with. So we really encourage people, if you do want to have this separate API that you work with, we're never going to be able to write a library that has more language support and is easier to learn than just launching another instance of a database. So we really think of the database as the API. So if you want to have this isolated server where you're where you shove data to, or an API to shove data to, then launch up a MySQL or a Postgres instance, whatever you're most comfortable with, put your data into there, and then Chartio connects to it really easily and charts on it really easily. So that's what we try to do. We try to stick away from hosting ourselves the data. We want you to actually own that data and control that data for security reasons, and also for flexibility and power reasons. And then as far as our reading API, we are working on doing a lot of embedding and actually some really kind of powerful configurable embedding. And so that stuff's to come probably later this year. But yeah, we're working on it. So.
Am I on now? Sorry. How does this work with unstructured data, things like Hadoop and whatnot?
Yeah, so we actually only deal with relational databases right now, structured data. So we don't have support for Mongo or anything like that. And that's largely because we're so dependent on the schema. And we're looking into building things out for that, but we just haven't done that. We've been mostly focused on the structured components of it. We really want to focus on making it like a really awesome product for a large group of people instead of like an adequate product for everyone. So that's why we've been a little bit limiting on what data sources we support.
Do you have plans to have more sophisticated visuals than the kind of simple or two-dimensional charts that you have?
Yeah. So we're always improving our charting library. We built our own internally on top of D3, and we've built a nice wrapper for our charts. And they're always evolving. I guess rather than going into a breadth of more types of charts and getting crazy with, hey, now you can do all kinds of unique types of charts, we're more focused on them being really interactive and being as easy to use and customize as possible. So that's going to be more our focus rather than coming into like a larger variety of charts. There will certainly be an addition of more variety over time. But we're also just mostly focused on making them as great as possible and as customizable as possible, and as interactive as well, as you saw with our drill down capabilities. So.
All right, Dave, we're officially out of time. So give a round of applause to Dave from Chartio.
Thank you.